Philosophers use a technique called reduction. What they do is they break down complex ideas into their most basic components. This gives them a deeper understanding of the idea that they are exploring and helps them convey that idea to others in an effective way. But this technique of reduction, this isn't just limited to philosophy. In fact, it's a technique that can be applied to many different fields, including business, literature, and even personal development. So, how does this relate to the Atomic Habits book? How did the author James Clear break down the complex process of habit formation and create a clear, actionable guide for readers? Well, let's explore that together. In this video, we'll dive into the thought process behind Atomic Habits and uncover some secrets to effective storytelling. Are you ready? Let's go. First step that any self-help book based on a particular topic takes is to define that topic. It seems like an obvious thing to do, but we have to give it some thought. Okay, see, the question is, when the topic is as simple as habits, do you really need to define it? We all know what a habit is. When defining it wastes readers' time, shouldn't you directly get to the meat? Well, here's what definition do. They generate more thoughts in your brain. Let me explain. When I say habit, you think about habit. It's just one data point. But when I tell you definition of habit, there's more than one data point. The book, however, has approached this part of explaining what atomic habits are in its own way. But here's what Google should show you if you search for habit definition. A habit is a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. Now, when you read this, you have certain data points to think about, not just one. Like you stress on the routine part, you think of the behavior. You know that it has to repeat. If it doesn't, it's not a habit, and the goal is to have it occur subconsciously. You knew what habit is, but now, just by reading its definition, you know something more. Your brain is now in this world of habit formation. It is now going to think in this direction. Now that's a good amount of food for thought. In case of the atomic habits, it's atomic plus habits. So there's that tiny part also added to it. Is the author's version. Is the author personalizing the direction you take? Now once the direction is set, the next part is making you believe in the idea. You have to believe that forming the right habits can be life transforming. That belief is what going to motivate you to keep reading. It is the inspiration and it is the reward. I call this part as hammering the idea into the brain. Before the reader gets to anything in the book, before he is provided with any techniques, any strategies, he has to believe in the idea. And you hammer this idea by using any tools that you have in possession, and not just an hammer. James Clear makes his point by using graphs, analogies, and stories and quotes. There are some really good quotes in the book, by the way. Using all this, he is effectively able to establish the importance of habit formation. In this particular part, the book answers some prominent questions to explain the idea of atomic habits and its significance. Questions of the nature of why are habits so important to personal development? Why is it so hard to build good habits? And also, why is it so hard to break bad habits? The answer will point you to the fact that they are building blocks of our lives. They are significant. And also, the good thing about this book is it gives you good reasons for it. This is where the writer's talent is shown. For the question, why is it so hard to build good habits? You relate to the reason given and you also agree to the explanations given. Now, I'll give you a gist of what the book talks about here, but for detailed understanding, to read the book. There are a couple of concepts explored here, like motion versus action. We are always in motion, always busy doing things, but we do not take concrete actions towards a specific goal. Then there are concepts like the plateau of latent potential and the valley of disappointment. But the main idea here is that the day you start a habit and the day you start seeing the result, in most cases is not the same day. There is a good amount of time that goes by when you finally start to see the result. And in this time, it's possible to lose track, to give up the habit that you took. The book here also explains the idea to create systems for achieving the goals and focus on them. To expand on this part, how well these systems work determines your success to a great extent. The systems, we can see progress every day as opposed to setting goals where results take a considerable amount of time to appear and which can be discouraging. So focus on the systems that you create. Now, how do you create them? This is where we come to the main part of the book and main part of this video. This is also where reduction, which I talked about at the start of the video, comes into picture. Breaking down of complex idea into its most basic components. But here you extend this. So once you have the idea broken down into smaller components, you tackle each component. And this tackling each component has different ways of doing it based on how the topic or the idea was broken down. If a non-fiction book is based on a topic like say working out, then that we can break down into pre-workout, workout and post-workout. And then you'll provide strategies or information regarding each part. Here in the Atomic Habits book, the topic is habits, and the way author has chosen to do the breakdown is by considering different stages of habit formation. This is also the approach taken in the Power of Habit book, and James Clear does mention that he took a reference of that book as well in coming up with his own version. The breaking down of a topic into stages can also be seen in storytelling. There we have the 3-act structure. In movies, this is a popular way of breaking down a story into smaller parts. The first act establishes the characters and the situation. The second act involves a conflict or problem that needs to be resolved. And the third act resolves the conflict and brings the story to a conclusion. The act is kind of like the stage the story goes through. Now you can take a simple story and you will be able to fit that in this structure. So the first act could be establishing the characters of the story, who they are and their life situation. And now, if this is a love story, in the second act, you can introduce a conflict, like their parents don't agree to their union. And in the third, they somehow are able to convince their parents and then they get married and live happily ever after. Now you can take a different conflict and you'll have a different story altogether. So that's the idea, to apply this 3-act structure to any story idea you have and create a structured story. Now we can of course see this approach taken in the Atomic Habits book, where habit formation is divided into 4 stages. Now just like you could apply any basic story idea to the 3-act structure, we can take any habit and we'll see that it will go through these 4 stages. So these 4 stages of habit formation are cue, craving, response, and reward. When you understand these, you'll be able to create a system out of these. Now let's look at them. The first stage is the cue. This is what tells your brain to start a habit. It can be anything from a time of a day to a certain location or even an emotion. For example, when your phone alarm goes off in the morning, it cues you to get out of bed and start your day. That's a cue. The second stage is the craving. This is the feeling of wanting or needing that drives you to take action. It's what motivates you to engage in the behavior. For instance, if you're trying to make a habit of drinking more water, your body might start to crave hydration when you're feeling thirsty. This happens automatically. The third stage is the response. This is the actual behavior you engage in to satisfy the craving. For example, if your cue is feeling stressed and your craving is for relaxation, then your response might be to take a few deep breaths or maybe practice meditation. Finally, the fourth stage is the reward. This is the positive outcome that reinforces the habit loop and makes you more likely to repeat the behavior in the future. If you're feeling hungry, your craving might be for a sweet treat and your response might be to eat a piece of fruit. The reward is the feeling of satisfaction and energy you get from that healthy snack, which makes it more likely that you'll choose that option in the future. So, those were the 4 stages that every habit has. And now you can think of any habit that you have, be it brushing your teeth or drinking your morning coffee. You'll notice that they all have these 4 stages. And now that you've broken down your topic into its basic components, here habit formation into its stages, you can start tackling each component, that is each stage. James Clear does that by providing the 4 laws of behavior change, which are the strategies and techniques to use if you want to create a good habit or break a bad one. So these techniques or these laws will relate to each stage of the habit formation, so that by applying them, your desired habit can go through these stages to become a permanent habit. Now let's also have a look at what these 4 laws are. The first law is making it obvious. It relates to the cue stage. By doing this, you can trigger your brain to recognize the cue and kickstart the habit loop. You make the cue more obvious. For instance, if you want to start exercising in the morning, try laying out your workout clothes and equipment the night before in a visible spot as a cue to get started. Notice, these laws are actionable steps and not just theory. These laws are to help you to get your desired habit to go through the stages we discussed earlier. It is the tackling part. The second law, making it attractive, is about the craving stage. By associating positive feelings with your habit, you can create a craving that motivates you to take action. Let's consider workout as a habit that you want to build. Now for this, you could listen to upbeat music or find a workout buddy who makes exercising more enjoyable. So this will develop a craving in you to start the workout, right? The third law, making it easy. It's all about breaking your habit down into smaller, more manageable steps. This can help reduce the friction associated with taking action and make it easier to follow through. If you're struggling to start a new habit, try starting with just a few minutes a day or focusing on one task at a time. Lastly, we have the fourth law, making it satisfying. Now, this is all about the reward stage. By rewarding yourself for your desired behavior, you can reinforce the habit and create a positive feedback loop. A little celebration can go a long way in keeping you motivated to stick to your new habit. By treating yourself to something you enjoy after consistently sticking to your new habit for a week or two, like a relaxing massage or a new workout outfit. So those were the 4 laws, and all they were intended for is to help us pass our desired habit through these habit formation stages and make the desired habit a permanent habit. And with all this process, we could also look at the bigger picture. We did zoom out and look at the structure of this famous self-help book. And with that, it's time to wrap up this video. In my next video, we'll explore another exciting aspect of storytelling and see how everything fits together in the world of stories. So if you want to continue on this journey with me, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll always be the first to know when a new video drops. And if you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends. Until next time, take care.